It's not getting it.
The Good Times and Good People Company would like to present to you the Loft Party Podcast, where it's all about good times, good people, good talk. I'm your host, Rio. As always, we've got our panel here of distinguished gentlemen. Excuse me, I don't know what just happened. Distinguished must have came out wrong. So Dave Tiemann, of course, he's one of our returning champions. He is. He is entrepreneur extraordinaire. We have Chris O'Connor. He is one of the co-owners of Liquid 9. They do various things in the multimedia space. Actually, I want to get into that on a later podcast with a real in-depth interview. New to the panel, Gary Granger. He works for VML. He also has a new company called New Species. They do investments in the entertainment space, and I think they've got some reality TV stuff coming up soon. So first of all, say hello, Gary.
Hello.
Got Jesse Pringle, who is the writer and producer of Kill 'Em All KC, and soon Kill 'Em All LA. And I think Kill 'Em All KC is in season 4. Is that right, Jess?
Pre-production for season 3.
Pre-production for season 3. All right. Web series, awesomely written, awesomely acted. If you haven't checked it out yet, out there in podcast land, go on the internets. And I do say that being funny. Don't think I actually talk like that.
The interweb.
The interweb.
And check out Kill 'Em All KC. And as always, the anonymous female, because she doesn't want you to know her name. Say hello, anonymous female.
Hello.
All right, so lot to pack in. Before I get started, I want to thank the Majestic Restaurants Pendergast Club for letting us record up here. As you may have known if you've listened to some previous podcasts, we all belong to a pretty awesome cigar club that is in the Pendergast Club. And so just about, I won't say everybody, but just about everybody who's going to be on the panel is probably either a member or is close to a member of the Pendergast Club. So we get to come and be in our own comfortable surroundings and have these conversations with you. So before we get started with any topics, let me get to our first order of business, and that is, so what are we all drinking? And I will start with new to the panel, Gary.
Well, I feel like you can't really go wrong with old fashioned made with Riga whiskey.
Yeah.
It's absolutely delicious.
It sounds delicious. I see lots of orange in that glass.
Absolutely.
Half an orange.
Absolutely. I mean, I swear they pounded about 3/4 of an orange in this thing. It's absolutely delicious. But yeah, you just can't go wrong with a good bartender and Riga whiskey. So.
All right, sounds good to me. Dave?
I'm drinking my Rigger vodka with a little shot of water and, of course, my standard lemon squeeze.
All right, sounds refreshing. Jesse?
Jameson neat for me. And a cup of coffee.
A touch of the Irish. All right. Chris?
I'm disgusted by both of those things. Rigger whiskey is clearly the drink of the evening, and I always have a Pendergast made with Rigger whiskey. It's a Rigger invention.
The anonymous female is drinking agua.
It's light and refreshing.
It is, light and refreshing. And I am drinking some of Kentucky's finest. I am drinking Four Roses and splash of tonic or ice, light, refreshing on a day like today where it's a little coolness in the air, but actually really nice outside. So now that we are past the what are we drinking, what are we all smoking? And I think I'm going to go the other direction and ask Chris.
always an Oliva Series G, generally speaking. My favorite cigar, good go-to, love it.
Always good. So, Jesse?
So Chris let me
Steal.
lended me an Oliva Series G cigar, and it's actually, I'm not completely I would say a cigar aficionado, but it's pretty good. It's medium flavor, smokes easy, doesn't put you on the floor. So for
Aficionado.
When you make a show called Kill 'Em All, when you make a show called Kill 'Em All and you ask for a cigar, you just give it away.
Yeah. I'm smoking a stogie.
Just take it.
I'm having a stogie.
Hey, Stogie?
No. This is Dave, and I'm having a Oliva also, a Series V, which is the sun-grown ones, and they burn slow but never go out. Great ash, and mild, and an easy draw.
And we're skipping Gary as he's giving me the hand saying pass me by.
Yeah, I'm not a cigar aficionado, is what you call
Hey,
it.
I don't know if that's the right
I
word.
love that.
Aficionado.
In Australia,
I like
Sounded
it.
good.
Yeah.
It sounded awesome.
Down under, we call them aficionados. I'm not a big cigar guy, but I love the smell. I love the aroma of all of them that are coming off tonight. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I, your host, I am having a Patron Damaso. This is, I want to try something different because normally I'd either be having an Oliva with everybody else or Arturo Fuente. But I'm actually really happy with this choice this evening. So, Patron Damaso for me. This week in pop culture, there was a few things that happened, so I want to get the heavy stuff out of the way first. I, of course, am a massive hip-hop fan, and as I've not held back from the podcast listeners, and one of my favorite rap groups of all time, Tribe Called Quest, one of the members of Tribe Called Quest passed away this week at the early age of 45 from diabetes related. Rest in peace to Phife Dawg
God,
from Tribe Called Quest.
That's
Yeah,
really young. Man.
Yeah.
45?
yeah.
Wow.
He's been sick in some way or another for years, really since the group was in its heyday. He was having to deal with it, but I think once they stopped their kind of major run because the group disbanded. I think it was after 10 years. I think it was they disbanded and
Excuse my ignorance, but what group was he part of?
A Tribe Called Quest.
Okay.
Now, what records did they have
So
that charted?
well, you've got Bonita Applebaum
Okay.
probably being just the biggest on just name recognition, but Bonita Applebaum.
I'm not being mean. I'm just
No.
asking.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
if you're
that's
not,
a
you're
good question.
yeah, no. Bonita Applebaum, Can I Kick It?
Everyday People. Was that them?
Scenario.
I'm gonna play it real quick. Scenario.
Everyday People. Was that them?
No,
I'm not
What
gonna.
was that?
that was
So low.
Yeah, your speaker sucks.
Okay.
There you go.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay.
My speaker does not suck.
90,
Do you know it?
yeah, 92, 93. That.
Yeah,
kind of-
you'll round up in that
Okay.
early to
Timeline,
mid,
okay.
early
Oh,
mid
check the
90s.
run.
Give it back through the 90s. I think
Yeah.
they said they ran most of the 90s.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, to tell you the truth, sonically, probably one of the most, even though they don't have the kind of name recognition as, well, outside of the hip-hop world. In the hip-hop world, they're godly, but outside of the hip-hop world, their sonic influence, the people who have been sonically influenced by them are the names that you would know more easily. You'd know, Kanye West or Pharrell Williams or, some of the bigger names that were directly sonically influenced by what Tribe
I
Called
would say
Quest did.
where they were when the trend was to underproduce
Yeah.
and focus on beats and minimalistic instrumentation, they went over the top.
Yeah.
And it was more of a lot of production and a lot of sound, and it was really cool.
Now, would that be considered a New York style at the time?
Definitely. That was definitely
East Coast style?
That was definitely an East Coast hip hop sound. Just a funny aside on that was their second album. It's called Low End Theory, and Dr. Dre said that he heard the Low End Theory and was just so blown away. His only goal at the time was to make something better than that, which gave us the Chronic.
Never did.
Yeah,
underproduced.
which probably was not a better album, but just to think of what we kind of think of as Dr. Dre and what he probably meant to hip hop and just as a producer and culturally what he's kind of meant beyond the music itself. That that's why I say I think some of the people who were directly influenced by their sound even were bigger names than they were. But
But they were a lifestyle brand as well, though, weren't they?
yeah, I mean, if you were into
Outside of the music.
you were certainly a certain type of hip hop fan if you were into Tribe Called Quest. I mean, you were into Tribe Called Quest, you were probably into De La Soul, you were probably into
Always did.
this kind of uber positive, non-gangster, jazz-based hip hop sound.
When all that came out.
Yeah. So
That was a bad time.
yeah.
If you want to make a rock comparison, you would make the comparison of Paul McCartney hearing Pet Sounds from the Beach Boys in 1966.
Yeah.
And saying Sgt. Pepper's in 67 will be a better album. That was the entire goal of that album.
Yeah.
So if you want a rock comparison, that would be it.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, actually. I mean, which I guess from talking about Fife and kind of the legacy of Tribe, it kind of leads me back to Fife himself and the fact that he passed away from diabetes related at 45, and has anybody known anybody with diabetes and any condition like that?
Sure, sure. But generally, I mean, honestly, and it's a weird thing. Outside of the African American community, it gets to be an older disease.
Yeah.
Which is very strange. It disproportionately affects African Americans at a much younger age.
Well,
which I don't think anybody's ever cracked the code on it.
I always thought, when speaking of diabetes, it was caused per consumption of either too much sugar or not enough. Am I wrong in
It's a
that?
portion of it, but it's also genetic. And if somebody in your family had diabetes,
It
you're
depends on if-
predisposed
yeah.
to get diabetes.
It depends on if it's.
Well, my
type 1 or
mother
type
had it,
2.
and my brother has it, but nobody else has it in the family, so.
Yeah, I mean, because you can definitely get it through diet, but most of the time, half the time I would say, it's really something genetic, and so you just can't regulate the insulin, the way the body should.
Sure.
But so out there in podcast land, as we kind of pivot off of Fife and his legacy with the group, take care of yourselves. I mean, we as we're sitting here smoking cigars and having drinks, talking to you.
Nobody wants to lose a foot.
Nobody.
Or die.
Fair enough.
Yeah, nobody wants to die early. Nobody wants to lose a foot or a leg. Take care of yourself. Do those regular doctor visits.
But it's even more than that. It's work out. You have a healthy diet. I mean, it's
Just take care of
all the
yourself.
other things that come into play.
Exactly.
I mean, if you look at the people who die of diabetes, generally speaking, being overweight is a massive symptom. Having a poor diet is a massive symptom. So, and then again, you have a genetic factor that plays into that as well. So,
Yeah, I mean, for me,
tough.
it's everything in moderation. Whether it's drugs, whether it's fast food, whether it's drinks, no matter what it is, just everything in moderation is really the key to having a great life and keeping yourself happy. I mean,
Yeah.
That has
you-
never been a theory I've ascribed to it.
You tried to purposely ruin your life,
Next
Chris.
show.
Let me write that down.
In case you didn't recognize that voice, that was Chris.
So this was a weird week. We were having a lot of RIPS this week, more than normal. It just seemed like there was more than normal. I saw that comedian and actor Gary Shandling.
Shandling.
Yeah, Gary Shandling passed.
And he was young too. He's 54.
Yeah. I mean,
I read that they're going to do an investigation on his death.
yeah. Which I was hoping to know
His
what
doctor
happened to
wouldn't
him
sign off on the
on death certificate.
death
You're
certificate.
kidding? Oh,
Yeah.
I did not know that. Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So
Well, that's
they're
not good.
opening the
That's Michael
coroner's
Jackson
opening.
style. Oh,
Yeah,
that is
yeah.
not good.
Yeah, I was hoping to know something, but then we heard that, and I was like, "Whoa!"
Now we already know.
Yeah.
The doctor is going to spend a little time in jail.
Yeah,
I know he had a show, Gary Shandling,
Mhm.
and they always connected him with Larry David.
Yep.
And he was a writer,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, but it was an HBO show, so
Right.
it was a kind of a mock comedy of
Well,
a late
he-
night talk show.
Well, he had his own.
Well, it was a
he had his
Gary
own
Shandling
talk
show, but it was another show too. It was the Larry
Sanders
the
show.
Larry Sanders show,
which is what
yeah.
he's most famous for.
Right.
Yeah. Gary Shandling show was good. He was a late night comedian and made all the rounds and all
Yeah.
that stuff.
And for those of you podcasters who are younger, if you weren't around for the Gary Shandling show or the Larry Sanders show, if you saw any of the Iron Man movies, there was a senator who just hated Tony Stark's guts, and that's who played that senator in those movies.
Even more famous than that, if you're at all a Howard Stern fan, every time he goes, "Hey now," that was directly from the Larry Sanders show. That was where they got the
Yeah.
cue from.
I do remember
Which
that
became a
actually.
catchphrase.
Showing my age, I do remember that.
That's not
Hey, well, here, I'll
not
show you
showing
my age.
I listen to him every day.
I remember when he was on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson almost once a month.
And he used to guest host for Johnny Carson all the time.
Yeah.
Really? Sorry, guys. I mean, I don't know what you guys are talking about.
It's okay.
You're too
That's
young.
right. That's
okay.
right.
You chime in when you know.
We didn't
you know.
expect anybody from Australia to know. Oh,
Yeah, well, go fuck yourself. Sorry, can I swear on this?
You can
Thank you.
say you
Thank you.
can, and remember that was the Australian who just said that. Yeah.
There's a whole history there, guys. You
Okay,
don't,
isn't he
you don't
from
want to know.
New
It's a long
Zealand?
story.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh no, you should explain. You should explain why
He
it's
did.
funny.
And why is there such a rivalry? I'm not from New Zealand. I'm from Australia.
Well,
vice
neither is he.
versa.
neither is Gary.
Well, I
Neither is
wouldn't
Gary.
know.
Is it
I
like a
wouldn't know.
border war? I mean,
I wouldn't know the Australian and the
New Zealand.
New Zealand conflict, but I think everything, at least in my humble opinion, which is not very much. I think the South African, which is
He's
where
South
I'm
African.
originally
From.
from.
was a
And
dig,
the Australian conflict really
Even
comes
worse.
down to sports. I mean, it's you know it all comes down to rugby and cricket and everything like that. It's very similar to me wearing a Broncos hat right now in Kansas City, where the Chiefs are.
Okay.
So,
Oh, never mind, South Africa.
Are you a big rugby fan?
yes, absolutely. Anytime I can watch rugby, I will absolutely be there.
Well, you played rugby forever.
I did, yeah.
I love rugby. Rugby makes professional football look like a girl's sport.
No.
No pun intended
Shenanigans.
there, anonymous female.
So I wouldn't say that. I think the two sports are completely and utterly different. I think the two sports really, they hit in different ways.
Totally different.
Rugby really taught how to take a tackle and how to make a tackle, whereas I think American football, you're just going out there to try and stop the guy no matter what the point is. So that's kind of the juxtaposition between the two.
Every time I was
Yeah.
asked to join the rugby team here in Kansas City, the guy that was always recruiting me, the first time he had one tooth missing, second time he had one tooth missing and a broken arm, and the third time he recruited me, he had a broken arm, a broken leg, and still one tooth missing.
And yet you would still see him out there
Oh,
on
he was
the
out there
field.
going,
Yeah.
oh, what are you limping around for? Like a scrum is
There's
the,
some
I've always
badass
loved the game.
people
There's some
that
tough
play
son of
rugby.
bitches.
Right,
Rugby's a tough
and you know what's really
Isn't it now?
surprising is the rugby community. I mean, in the States, Kansas City's actually got a pretty good rugby team called the Kansas City Blues, But specifically out in Colorado, where I live at the moment, there is a massive rugby following. USA Rugby is actually headquartered in Boulder, Colorado, and each of the small little towns have their own little things.
That's
So
because you
there's-
have to be so high to play rugby. It would just be ridiculous. I can't even imagine withstanding that.
Anyway, sorry guys, we're getting off topic. Sorry.
Okay, all right, okay. We're reeling it back in, ladies and gentlemen. We're reeling it back in. All right, so I want to get through. So we've talked about Five Dog, we talked about Gary Shandling. Sad, but I know.
But funny.
But I know it's gonna get some laughs.
Yeah.
The former mayor of Toronto, Rob
Yeah.
Ford.
What?
He passed away from cancer at 46.
Talk about
Yeah.
being high all the
The
time.
time.
Now
this is the
now this is what's funny.
It's not funny.
Five Dog was 45, and
Rob,
even though he was sick, he didn't look 45. I saw Rob Ford was 46, and I was like, "Damn, you had a hard life."
now this is the big guy we saw in all
this is
the
yeah.
the crack
Yeah.
bear.
always
Yeah,
too
it
much
was-
to
it was
Holy
say.
shit, he died?
Greatest
He
mayor in the
passed
history
away
of
from
the world.
trouble with cancer.
Well, you can only put so much crack in your body and everything will grab you.
If you're willing to be
And
a
plus he
mayor
was
and
about,
go-
what, 900 pounds?
Well, yeah,
He was
he
big
was
dog.
Hey,
wealthy.
man, hey, rest in peace to the guy, but damn.
But if you're a mayor
Dude,
and you're
big
telling
boy.
everybody you're doing crack, like
Yeah.
you are a mayor and a half. Like
Yeah.
you are running a city.
Who were you with
That
last
is
night?
awesome.
Hookers? Oh, okay.
That was an
Yeah.
accident.
No, hey, at least he was straight up and straight to the point, right?
He was.
Yeah, well, he was.
legit.
Yeah. I mean,
Boss
he's,
Rob.
Hey, they loved him in Toronto, by the way.
yeah, actually, yeah.
You gotta remember,
actually, really
they
did like him.
re-elected him.
They actually did like him in Toronto.
They loved him. And I went,
He did a great job for the city, honestly.
It's kind of refreshing to have somebody that's just going to tell you the truth and tell you the way that it is, rather than
Yeah.
you know, smoke and mirrors everywhere.
I mean, look, they reelected the DC mayor who did crack. So hey, apparently crack is not a deal breaker.
Marion Barry.
That would never
Very,
happen.
very.
Crack's not whack.
Well, apparently it's not that whack if you're in elected office.
Dude, I don't care what you
Yes,
whack.
Marion Barry.
Just run the city. That's all you gotta do.
Yeah.
I don't care what you're doing. So.
Yeah.
They've all done it. You
I
just find out about
kind
it
of do
later.
care what they do on the side.
But when you find out about it later, are you disappointed? Even if the city ran awesome when they were in there?
A little bit.
We've had horrible presidents
But-
who've done a great job.
But
and, hey, way
personally,
to go.
what your personal morals really shouldn't have anything to do with if you are running the city properly. Yes,
Yeah, it's
then it
awesome.
shouldn't matter. But
It'd be hard to be on crack and run a city effectively.
the problem with that
He
is
did.
then you get
So you've
then
done crack
once
to
you
know that it would be
that.
hard.
It would just. I'm just going to go out on a limb and say, without admitting anything, that would be a very tough thing to do.
I think
Yeah.
the problem is once you know somebody has done something like that, you question every decision they made, whether right or wrong. You're going
It's a
to.
legit point.
Yeah.
fair.
except if you live in Toronto.
Yeah, like they reelected him.
I'm
so.
like, keep it up there. I don't care.
That's just part of national health care up there.
And here's your monthly dose of
Right,
crack.
which is sorry if this is getting too deep. You can edit this out if you
No,
want to,
no,
but
no.
it's quite ironic that everyone's saying, "Hey, I'm moving to Canada," when quite frankly they've got pretty much the worst
Healthcare.
healthcare. Well, on a much larger scale of what we want to put into place, or some
Absolutely.
people want to put into place.
I always
Yeah,
find all the
it's
Canadians, why do all the Canadians come down here for their healthcare?
Right.
Because they
And-
can't get good healthcare in Canada, that's why.
Right, and both have
wouldn't
got their
know
pros
that.
and
No, I
their
do know
cons,
that.
but
No,
basically,
That's not
I don't want the healthcare system to
Oh.
become like the DMV. I mean, that just sounds like an absolute nightmare to me.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine sitting in the hospital and it being like the DMV?
I can tell you used to be in Detroit all the time and go to
well,
Canada
it's 10
and
times
get
worse now that they've
prescription drugs and come
privatized
back.
it. I mean, private
You know, and that was
people
always the
own the
difference.
DMV
I used to go to
now.
Mexico for the same thing.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah,
Right.
I agree.
Yeah, it's a mess.
Yeah. Oh, did anybody else see that we're now down to a field of 3 on the Republican side anyway?
It's sad. It's
Yeah,
sad.
I
It's
say
killing me.
I say Rubio is
Suspended.
is
Not
suspended.
out.
He is
Suspended.
suspended.
Not out.
I think
Which
he's
I've
gonna-
always thought was funny. I'm suspending my
He
campaign.
knows exactly what he's doing. He's waiting for the
Alright.
convention because nobody will have a super majority,
Yeah.
and so then you
I
step
think
back
he
in.
did it so he could run for governor.
I think he did it so he'll either be vice president or you can come back in at the convention and broker a deal.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised of either,
That's a
actually.
good point.
So you
Either one
can
of
just
those would be
step on the sidelines and be like, I'll wait.
You could
Yeah,
Because
they
then
can't-
because then you get to hold on to all the money, you get to hold on
Well,
to
that's-
everything you
right.
gained during your campaign.
And your delegates.
Yeah, you get to hold on to all of it until either the election has passed
Oh, yeah, he's brokering
or
a deal.
Well-
you've decided to actually step
It's a
completely
convention.
out.
It's a convention issue. So if you don't hit 1,273
Something like that.
super delegates,
Mhm.
because super delegates have to vote for you no matter what, but the other delegates do not.
All right, so for super delegates, sorry to interrupt, but I don't. What is this whole concept of super delegates? Where
They're
did
super.
they come from?
So okay,
They're
what happens?
I'm
super.
so
No.
confused.
So
by
what
this.
happens is you go through the primaries in different
Wait,
states have different
one
rules.
second, let me jump in here real quick. Podcasters, don't pause, don't fast forward. You're about to get a civics lesson. This is going to be good.
I will tell you, because
Yeah.
the last time that I remember this happening was on the Republican side when Teddy Roosevelt ran for office he was actually running as a Republican against William Harriman Taft in 1912.
Right.
And he actually won far more delegates than Taft did, but not super delegates. So they denied him the nomination because they did not want him. So he started a third party and was the most successful third party candidate of all time.
I
The
wonder why
bull's
they're,
I
I
mean,
wonder why they're
on both
talking
sides.
about super delegates in the Republican Party, because
They
everything
don't
I'm
have
reading
super
says
delegates, right?
They do.
Democratic National Convention. Everything says
Yeah.
they're Democratic.
Yeah, I think the super delegates are only on the
They're on the
Democratic side.
Republican side, you have to hit 1,273.
I know, but
If you
if-
don't hit that number, you do not get
Total
an
delegates.
automatic
It's just
nomination.
delegates, right?
Total
But a
delegates.
So what
super
happens
delegate-
is, the super delegate is pledged to you to vote on the first round. After that, once you hit the second round, they can vote for anybody they want.
Oh, yeah.
And most people do not, on the Republican side, in the establishment, do not want Trump. So if he does not hit 1,273 delegates on the first round,
It'd be a
it
broken,
is shit up for grabs.
it is, it's
whatever
it'd
it
be a
is.
broken convention.
This is how Harry Truman became vice president.
Did I-
This
did
is-
I miss-
From the Pendergast Club.
Did I miss the answer to who is a super delegate?
It's
Super
a
delegates are nominated by the state,
Correct.
and when you win the state, they are pledged to you.
But then you also have other just regular
But then you have
delegates.
regular delegates.
You can vote for whoever they want,
Which they could
regardless of
split
the
up however they
outcome
want
of the primary.
Okay.
It's screwed up.
I think you should.
Believe me.
I think you should Google
It's a great
it.
system, and it's state by state. So each state can make up their own rules.
Well, and Harry Truman got into office for all kinds of reasons.
They're getting
from
ready
what I
to do
understand.
Yeah, Tom
Oh,
Petty.
Kevin
yeah, we're gonna-
Thus endeth
Kevin
the
Spacey
civics
is
lesson.
going to do.
But the reason we're
Yeah, it's
sitting
gonna
in
be
the
on TV.
Pendergast Club has everything to do
Isn't it
with
behind
why
the White
Harry
House?
Truman got to the vice presidency in the
Exactly.
first place. So, okay, real quick, I don't want to linger on it too much, but
1,237, not 1,273.
30.
I just had to revert.
so like I said, I don't want to stay on this topic long, but I do want to touch on. I do want to touch on Brussels. I want to say rest in peace to all of those who fell in the Brussels attack. Briefly, throw it out there, and I'm putting my finger up sternly, ladies and gentlemen. Anybody have anything they want to say or add about Brussels or about just these constant terrorist attacks and threats?
I just can't believe that we live in a world where this is a constant threat, and maybe this is getting a little bit too deep, but you know, I feel like countries that, or at least in the US and Europe, should really have a great defense system, and I just feel like some of them are failing in certain places, and my heart really goes out to the people for it,
Yeah.
and
I would agree.
you know, I just wish that we had a better sense of actually what is going on.
I do
because-
wonder how well they share intelligence with each other. I don't know. Because you wouldn't necessarily want to give away all of your intelligence, operations and things
Right,
like
but
that.
you think allies
But
would do that, right?
To a certain degree, because you're not always allies, and so what happens if they know you have a system and you're not allies anymore? But for example, if you do know actionable intelligence, but think, here'd be the flip side of that. Think of how much intelligence there is in the world right now. You know, people bash the Patriot Act, which I'm completely fine with because I think it's an overreach. But there are millions and millions of phone calls placed every day
Absolutely.
that they
But the
monitor.
What's
intelligence
credible
is-
and what's not?
What's credible and what's not,
Right.
what's
Well-
actionable and what's not.
But who's deciding that? Human beings
Yeah.
that are completely fallible.
Well,
Kind of.
I
mean,
tell you what,
there's
I'd really
formulas
prefer
to
Yes
that.
and no, but somebody still says, yeah, we're gonna tell somebody about this, or no, don't worry about it.
Well,
I
I'm
mean,
sorry,
it's
but
still-
I mean, I would really prefer to have human instinct and human gut behind everything than a computer making complete rational decisions.
And I don't disagree
So,
with that, I'm just saying, that's why these things still happen,
Well, yeah, 100%.
yeah.
But think about the Paris bombing, and Paris bombings aren't that different.
No.
You know, like how much actionable intelligence did they have prior to that? I have no idea, and we will never, ever, ever know. I mean, we'll never get to the bottom of that.
What really like irks me is how much of the stuff actually happens in the States and we don't actually know about it.
Awesome.
And how much will we never know about it? I mean,
Well, you only know about the ones
Well, they
that
said
actually happen, you never really,
right.
Well, last year
Not-
on
not
July
as
the
often
4th,
hear
supposedly there
about.
was supposed to be, they supposedly found out about a great big conspiracy. There was gonna be multiple bombings in the United States and they stopped it.
So they stopped
but we
it
don't,
on New
here's,
Year's on the millennium at the
yeah,
border.
we don't know. See, the problem is, we don't know.
Yeah, and they're not
I'm
going, and
sure
they're
it's a
not
problem.
going to say. I mean,
Because
I
then
think
there's
that's
always
kind
the
of
fear factor.
That's one of
there
the.
is, and two, you know, I'm all for knowing what's going on, but at some point, I don't need to know every single
Right.
decision that's made, that's not my job. I shouldn't be kept up at night thinking about that.
But the
Well-
media glamorize, you know, it's terrible about the attacks
Yeah.
and the bombings and all the people that died and their families had to grieve for, but the media has
They
got
do.
to hold some type of, or someone has to hold the media for some type of responsibility for keeping fear in the world.
But isn't
because-
the media's obligation to hold the government responsible?
Well, you know, this is
Well,
you know
it
what,
is,
you
it
know what,
is.
this is my problem with that in particular is which trust me is a rabbit hole discussion that we can go in on a podcast. We can dedicate a podcast to it. But I think the real issue with media and how they handle stories is there was a point in time, and after I say this, I need to pivot to the next thing because it's actually related. There was a point in time that there was no money in news. And now that, because news was a lost leader for all of the networks until cable news networks came about that were profit driven. And now all of the news is profit driven. So if,
Yeah.
Except
You
for
know,
NPR.
I would say that most news divisions are loss leaders.
Yeah.
They're horrible. MSNBC doesn't make any money.
Yeah.
They make nothing. Fox makes probably a little bit of money.
yeah.
'cause they
That's
use
why they're
news
owned by a
CNN.
few
Yeah,
people.
that's why we're run by a conglomerate. So
Yeah.
CNN is owned by Time Warner. So
And
Yeah.
and I commented on this because why this story and not the thousands of other bombings and
but this goes
terrible
back to
things
Right,
that
like-
are happening in the world?
Didn't Bangladesh just have a massive bombing or
Well,
somewhere in
that's what I was
Pakistan?
gonna say. We care about France and Brussels and the United States, but what about all the stuff that happens in these, you know, in
Third world
Iran,
countries.
Iraq, Afghanistan, India,
Africa.
Africa? Every day you
I
don't
think
hear
you
about
care
it.
about what threatens your national security and your national interests, and this is what gets reported.
Well, these-
and I don't
these
necessarily
places
agree
are
that that's a
what-
bad thing.
Yeah.
You know, I don't
Right.
know that I need
Like-
to hear about every fractional bombing, you know, in a third world country that doesn't affect us.
Absolutely,
But
but I
that's
mean,
where
I
these
think
people are bred. That's where they're
And well,
raised.
and I
That's
think
where
the-
they
I think
learn.
the-
Only to a certain degree. We know that, you know, for example, Bin Laden came from Saudi Arabia. That's supposed to be an American ally. That makes it a news story. That's an interesting kind of a thing.
And you know what I found the most interesting is that, you know, we concentrate on these small bombings where 24 people get killed, and God bless their souls, but, you know, then there's these mass genocides where you have thousands of people killed and nobody knows
Daily.
about it.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And I mean, it's just the unfortunate thing of what takes priority and what doesn't.
But
And
you can make the exact
Well-
same argument about World War II, where we said in the Iraq War, between 4,000 and 5,000 soldiers were killed in the Gulf War, the second Gulf War. There were that many people killed in
stealing
D-Day alone.
Saddam's gold.
That was D-Day alone.
Well,
So,
you have to
you know,
look
it's
at
like-
the way media's changed, though. We didn't have. I mean, it was all
Right.
paper. Somebody had to be
Everything
there,
is-
come back across, write it up. Now
Everything's
it's
at your
immediate.
tip.
Yeah, it's
at
24-hour
your
news
fingertips.
cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that also makes you wonder what's true and what's not. I mean, how many stories have we heard that would turn out to be completely
yeah,
false?
It's just the
yeah,
whole-
people jump the gun,
like,
right?
bias.
Ask
Yeah.
Dan
Absolutely.
Rather how it's going for him. You know, not
Yeah.
well.
Right.
And bias is really a massive thing that, you know, you just almost have to accept when you come to the States.
But this is how news should be. There is no objective journalism, but it is not objective by the fact that you do print some stories and you don't. The way that you write the story is based on your personal bias, or it's not. You know, there's no such thing as an objective fact. You can say
Or your editor's
you can say
bias.
something.
Right, exactly, and that's another thing, is that it's not only your own personal bias, but it's your editor's bias and his boss's bias
And the
then
conglomerate and
the
everything.
conglomerate.
Yeah,
and
you don't,
everything
you
that
don't want to
comes
say
down to
anything that's gonna
Or
ruin
whoever
shed
paid
light
money
on
to
it.
keep it out of the
Yeah.
news.
I don't think.
Oh,
they should
speaking
have
of
objective
which, let me
journalism.
jump in right here. Just found out that the FBI cracked the phone, and they dropped the case on Apple.
Oh,
Really?
Yeah, so
yeah.
so we don't know where that rabbit hole was gonna go because the FBI has cracked the phone.
So I
That's
will,
going to last about 2 days.
yeah, I will say I really do applaud Apple for that, because they really did stand by the user agreement, and they basically said we won't share anything, no matter what the fuck it is.
Out loud.
Yeah,
I'm with
well,
you
out loud,
1,000%.
exactly.
I
Not
agree.
publicly, but you know, I really think there was a great stance on their, you know, the agreement that they've got.
Yeah, I think it was the right thing for Apple to do. At first, I was kind of on the fence, but I think Apple was in the right. I think that for national security, I know why the government was asking, but I think Apple was
Why?
completely in the
Why
right.
were they
They
asking?
were only trying to prove a legal case at that point.
Well, I think they were asking because
They were trying to find known associates and if there were other plots
they
going
already
on.
knew. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, come on.
But
If they
you
can't
know,
figure it out by all the other methods they have, really the iPhone is the killer. I don't know about all that. Oh, well, speaking of somebody who would know.
We were
say
just-
speak.
We're talking about the FBI cracking the Apple phone.
Oh, yeah.
That's a big deal.
State your name for all of our podcast listeners.
Patrick Miller.
And Patrick does things that we can't really talk about here on the podcast, otherwise he'll have to shoot us all, and that's okay. Just know that you're safe. Just know that you're safe at home, and we are all probably. There's probably a drone outside of
Waiting to
building or
kill us.
something, just
It
in
just
case.
flies around for
Yeah,
Patrick.
just for Patrick. Just know that. And actually, that was kind of talking about terrorism and security and all those other things. Actually, it was perfectly timely that Patrick would come in as I was about to end that segment, and probably to keep the drone from shooting us all.
I was listening. Yeah.
We're talking too damn.
You're the one sitting back to the window.
Exactly.
Shit.
As Gary has his back literally to
To the window. The drone follows Patrick in.
You're the worst mob boss I've ever
As Chris is back in the back corner.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I noticed this week on to some much lighter topics. I was going through some of the record DVD movie releases and stuff like that for the week. I noticed if you guys remember that record Harlem Shake that was a couple years ago that got really big. I guess that guy's name's Bauer. He's got an actual album releasing this week, which I thought was hilarious.
Can you quote the Harlem Shake?
I personally cannot, other than Harlem Shake, and then it just goes into that weird music. And,
That's all I wanted to hear.
Then Red Foo, which I thought was really funny. He's one half of the group LMFAO. He's dropping a solo album as if we needed or wanted a Red Foo album. And then I also noticed that Gwen Stefani's new solo album's coming out.
This one will be big.
Yeah, I think it
I
will
like
be.
This will be real big.
It hasn't.
Too.
There hasn't been anything that I've heard that's hit me yet that I really liked. But I do think it's going to be a big album, and I do think that the audience that
Yeah, but don't you think that she's not just a pop singer? She's what
I
we
agree. I think
consider
she
one
Well,
of
guys, yeah, but
we
wait,
could
what was
consider
her
one of the
original
first
band?
crossover artists.
It was
don't
no,
you think?
no doubt.
No doubt.
No
yeah,
doubt.
yeah.
It had that little ska feel to it. It was kind
Yeah.
of cool stuff.
But worse than
really
that,
cool
then
stuff.
she did. She was married to what's his face from that crap band, Bush, wasn't it? Gavin Rossdale.
Gavin Rossdale.
And then he cheated on her, and so
Yeah.
I think there's gonna be a lot of this outpouring of emotion, and this is her comeback album, and blah blah blah. Let her doing well, and
Yeah.
yada yada.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it'll be great. Not to dismiss that.
Yeah.
cheating on your life.
I don't
and not
care.
an album,
She's
but-
hot.
Yeah, she's good looking. Yeah, she's got her clothing line and all the other stuff.
Yeah,
so-
and you know what?
Now she's dating
somebody good.
Blake Shelton.
Oh, somebody
Shut
bad.
up.
Never.
No.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, yeah,
Yes.
she really
Yes.
is.
Really?
Yeah, I know. I was thinking.
They've
didn't
been
see
dating
that
for
at
a
all.
while.
It's actually-
I
Yeah,
was-
I did
I
because
was
they work
thinking
on The Voice
of
together.
all the things that I
That's
thought would
repulsive,
come from The
honestly.
Voice, I didn't think.
Why is that
Gwen
repulsive?
Stefani.
Oh,
There's
Come
no
on.
way he's in her league. I
The
mean,
hit from the
professionally, I suppose.
Yeah,
he is,
yeah,
but-
professionally, but yeah, just looking at the two of them together,
It doesn't
don't see
work.
it.
But we
No.
don't know either one of them personally.
Well,
She
they-
could be completely crazy, and he's half an alcoholic.
Yeah, I mean, they both
So
are getting
she
out
found
of
a sugar
divorces.
daddy? Is that-
That's what I think.
doubt it. She's pretty well off on her own. She's got a clothing line.
It's like Beyonce
perfume.
going, I'm gonna start dating
So who
Chris
has more
Farley
money,
for a
Blake
while.
Shelton
It doesn't make
or
sense
Gwen
to me.
Stefani?
I don't know.
That doesn't work.
I mean, he's a number one Grammy
Right.
award winning artist.
Right.
So
Speaking of
on the
which,
countryside, congratulations. That they don't cross over in my mind. Like what she does and what he does are so opposite.
well, who says they have to?
Nobody, and I'm all
Opposites
in favor
attract.
of that nonsense. Papa country.
wasn't expecting to pass those around. Pass those around. Actually, I'm just passing.
What?
What is it?
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm about to say this is this
yeah.
is for something.
Oh,
This is coming
I
up.
love that on the.
This is coming up. But I noticed DVD releases. I just thought it was funny because I liked their first movie together. Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg, their movie Daddy's Home is coming out on DVD. I just thought it was funny because I liked the other guys. The
Yeah,
first movie they did
You know,
together.
You guys mentioned that the other day.
I absolutely love that movie. It was just pure, like, sit back and you don't have to worry about a thing. It was pure entertainment, which I absolutely loved. However, I will say that I think that both of them have been absolute typecasted into each one of their roles.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which I
absolutely.
thought was a little bit disappointing
Well, they
with
did
that.
the detective. What was the detective movie where the two
In this
cops that
specific
were-
movie, you feel like that?
Well, absolutely. I mean,
seems-
both of them are
yeah.
playing. You know, Will Ferrell's playing this like comedic relief, almost awkward guy, and what Mark Wahlberg is playing this badass who.
But would
basically
you
comes
go to a
in.
movie where Will Ferrell was playing a
The
serious
badass.
drama?
You could ask the same
Or-
question about Jim Carrey, and he did that in the Internal. What was that? The
Eternal Sunshine.
No,
Eternal
no,
Sunshine.
he was
Truman
good.
Show.
He was good in 23.
He was also good in Truman Show.
I would ask about. Bill
Actually,
Murray
one of my
and
favorite
Razor's
movies. I
Edge.
love the Truman
Yeah.
Show.
I don't know that I would go
Oh.
see a drama with Will Ferrell. No,
Yeah.
I couldn't picture that.
I think you've seen some. I would say, what was the one that he did where MK12 did the graphics? Where like the graphics were on, you could always see what he was
Talladega
thinking.
Nights.
No, no, no.
Oh, I can't think of the name of that movie. I do know what you're talking about. Yeah.
That was not
I
the
do know
same
what
one.
you're talking about.
It was one where you could hear his inner voice all the time.
Ricky Bobby.
Oh yeah, I know what you're
Thank you,
talking
sweet
about.
baby Jesus.
But I did not see
I
that.
can't remember the name of the movie, but it's a
Dave,
great
what were
movie.
you saying? They did a detective movie. What did you say?
Oh,
Oh, he
Wahlberg,
was talking about
they did
the-
that detective series that was, Will Ferrell played. They both played dumbasses, which I thought was
Oh, the
great.
other guy.
Yeah, the other guy.
Mark
Yeah,
Wahlberg
that
was,
was
yeah.
Yeah, that was a
and-
great movie.
And Mark Wahlberg became very insecure about Will Ferrell's ability to pick up hot chicks.
Yeah, it was really, that was
You're like, how do you do that?
I would also give him a ton of credit for being one of the best producers in all of Hollywood.
Who, Mark
that?
Wahlberg?
Mark Wahlberg.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
would agree. And incredibly smart.
I've liked Mark Wahlberg since, he was...
The
since
Calvin
he
Mark
did
and
this.
Since you saw him
Since he-
Calvin Klein's?
Yeah, we're not allowed to mention that.
Why?
Since we saw what?
The Calvin Klein underwear days.
Oh, I totally forgot about that. I was thinking
Oh,
Fear.
yeah.
The movie
Funny
Fear.
name.
Do you remember it?
No,
It was
even
when
as
he
an actor.
remade the Robert De Niro one. They remade
Oh, yeah.
Fear, and
Yeah.
he was Robert De Niro's
Wasn't Robert De Niro
character.
in that? It was the Robert Mitchum one that they remade. Wasn't Fear Robert Mitchum and then Robert De Niro played the same part?
Right.
Oh, so
it was
it's
a
been
Robert-
remade
it was a
three.
remake.
It's been made 3
It's a
times.
1950s
Yes, it has.
movie.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
been made 3 times. Robert
Oh.
Mitchum was spooky.
Thank you
as
guys
hell,
for
by
letting
the way.
us know
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. Oh, that's
You
incredible.
know,
The older gentleman in the
I think regardless, both actors should be very, very, very well respected.
Mm-hmm.
They've both got their shtick. They've both got their roles that they like to play, and quite frankly, I love every single one of
I
their
thought you were
movies.
going to say Boogie.
To make you laugh.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
No.
Well, it was a nice surprise to see Mark Wahlberg actually do some funny stuff, like Teddy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Ted is hilarious.
And
Yeah, but-
honestly, think of what Will Ferrell did with Funny or Die. I mean, he's killing
I was
it.
going to say
Right.
that. Yeah, I was
Right.
gonna say, he's actually
Killing
really done
it
a
with that.
great job with it.
And what was that movie, Date Night, where Mark Wahlberg was again the shirtless guy?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, I mean,
yeah.
he was a great comic relief in that as well.
Steve
He
Carell.
had a great
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of
Steve
face
Carell,
in
Tina
that.
Fey, yeah. Yeah.
But that dude's worth like $250,000 at this point. Like he just has an insane
Mark
amount of
Wahlberg?
money. Yep, because he owned Boardwalk Empire.
Yeah.
Wait, did you say just $250,000?
Quarter.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think it's
that
more
was
than-
stuff.
He's worth.
I think that's embarrassing. I
Right.
find that
I was
to
like,
be horrendous.
that's like his day rate.
You would know better than I. I'm sure you tried
Well,
to
yeah,
hire
he
him.
did. Go ahead.
No,
You did.
no, please.
No, you were saying.
So it was that, and then he did. What was the other big show that he burst? Oh, it was
Entourage.
Entourage.
Entourage was his.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and the
Yeah,
movie.
yep.
And
Actually, that's actually about his real entourage too, which is hilarious. It was like,
Yeah,
Which
about
the
his-
show, the Wahlbergs, is whatever show they do. Is
yeah,
him.
Wahlburgers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Wahlburgers, which
Yeah.
I think is absolutely hilarious.
I think
Yeah.
it's so funny.
Yeah.
It's
Oh man, I love
hilarious.
that.
Hey, we're famous actors. We're going to create a burger joint called the Wahlburgers.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
incredible.
The one
Yeah,
thing
so
I
you
do
got one
love-
brother who doesn't act. You're like, well, what do you do? I cook. Hey, we'll make a restaurant
The
there.
one bizarre thing is it all started from New Kids on the Block.
Right.
I mean, that is
Donnie
bizarre.
Wahlberg.
Yeah,
That's
but I say,
bizarre.
yeah, it's like,
And Good Vibrations was produced by Donnie Wahlberg. People forget that.
Oh, I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
Really?
Yes, it was.
That is
He
funny.
made that record.
That's interesting.
That is funny. Oh, you know what? Not
Mark
produced,
from the
not
Country
produced by,
Club.
but it actually that made me think about something we talked about on last week's podcast. We were talking about Outkast, and I found out that Outkast's first music video was directed by Puffy.
Really?
Yeah, like I was like, really?
Which was what
Like
video?
that was Players Ball, which was
Okay.
was Outkast's first video, and it was funny because he was getting interviewed about it, and there's this scene in the video where Andre's playing pool with his shirt off. He's just got a hat on, his jeans, and his shirt off, and all these girls are around watching him play pool. And he's like, yeah, I made him a sex symbol. I told him, hey man, you a sex symbol. Take that shirt off. I was like, I don't know if I would have said that out loud.
Well, what's he weigh, Andre? About
Oh,
110 pounds.
yeah, I'm
weight.
about to say a buck
Yeah.
25. But I'll pivot from the DVDs to what I really want to talk about before we get to
Here we go.
the shuffle, the movie releases of the week, and I will start with my big fat Greek wedding 2, which I actually haven't seen yet, although I love My Big Fat Greek Wedding. That movie's just hilarious to me. And
The man may be the head of the house, but the woman is the
she's the
neck.
neck.
And she can turn the head any way she wants.
Exactly.
I love that line. It's my
Yeah.
favorite line out of the first movie. So,
You don't eat no meat.
okay, I cook lamb.
And this is a group of guys, ladies and gentlemen, and we can quote it. So if you haven't seen it, go rent it. It is funny.
I have to say I don't know that one.
The big movie, the one who sucked all of the oxygen out of the box office over the weekend was Batman versus Superman, Dawn of Justice. So first of all, has anybody other than me and the anonymous female seen it?
No.
I did. I saw it on Saturday
Oh,
morning.
okay, so Chris talked about it. Nobody else saw it?
No.
Okay.
No. Well,
Anybody planning to see it?
No.
When it comes to
Really?
Netflix.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I knew. I figured
But I got
you.
a question.
Yeah.
Is it worthy? What's the level of age range for kids you think might want to go to it? Because I got kids and I want
How
to take
well,
them. They're 7 and 9, but they've seen the Avengers: Age of Ultron.
They're fine.
then they're,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
fine.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
What
mean,
I
there's
didn't like was-
violence, but
Okay.
but yeah.
What I didn't like was, for example, Iron Man. The last one that came out,
Yeah.
the terrorist that was in there, they showed basically putting your foot on someone's head and putting a gun through
Oh,
their head.
yeah,
Yeah, no.
So that was a little too
I don't
much.
do any
Okay.
of that.
I mean,
As long as it's not that bad.
there's a big battle scene.
Yeah,
and
you know
there are
what?
Some,
I will say this: Batman. Okay, so out there, in podcast land.
spoiler alert.
Yeah, some spoilers. I'm sorry if you haven't seen it yet. Carry your ass to the theaters and go see it. So, Batman in this movie. First of all, let me say, all of your fears about whether or not Ben Affleck was going to be a good Batman or not, he actually is a good Batman. He is a good Bruce Wayne. But the story, as it is Batman is a lot older now. So the original Batman movies, Batman is about
Young
30.
hotshot billionaire, yeah.
He's maybe 28. But this Batman is a lot older. He's about 46 or 7. So he's been Batmaning for 20 years. And he is a lot
change.
more
So
violent.
So he's got low T.
Yeah, very
Yeah,
low
he's
tolerance.
very-
Which is not what
he's
you and I suffer
harboring-
from. I mean, the bald head. We have.
Patrick,
And
he's
over-
suffering from a lot of pent up anger, and
Yeah,
it comes out
yes.
in this movie.
So he's having a midlife crisis.
Yeah.
Just give the man a new red kind of Batmobile with a
How can you
convertible
have a
top.
big- Crisis.
He is a lot more violent.
I don't think this is a spoiler. What I do think is interesting is that they start the movie with the flip side of what happens when Superman goes around just fucking blowing up buildings.
That's
What-
not what that it starts out
I
in
mean,
the
I think
scene.
it's
starting
It
to-
starts out from his view of the scene in Superman where I can't remember what that
Superman's
thing was
just
called.
blowing up crap.
Right.
It was yeah.
Well, he's Superman. He
Which
can
is-
take out a
yeah.
building.
Well, it wasn't.
kind of interesting.
It wasn't
It is, but
Superman.
it's
It
not
was that
Superman's
big thing that they had.
No,
stuck
there
in
were-
the
there were-
earth,
yeah.
yeah.
It showed you the responsibility of what was going on the ground when Superman is blowing
Yes.
up buildings.
Yeah,
it was really,
when
really,
Superman's
really
fighting
interesting.
Zod
Yeah.
and the world engine
Yeah, like
is
this-
going.
Thank you.
Yes.
It's okay. So you find out that Metropolis and Gotham are sister cities separated by
Across
a
the
bay.
river, yeah.
Separated by a bay, and Bruce Wayne has property in Metropolis.
Basically New York and like Manhattan.
So
Yeah.
he's on the Metropolis side when all of this is happening, and you get to see from a completely different perspective all the stuff that's happening from the ground.
Okay.
So he loses people, he loses employees, his building gets demolished. So he has a completely different thought of what Superman is or could be, because he's just seen mass destruction.
Does anybody else get memories of the movie The Incredibles?
Kinda.
I mean, that's kind
A
of
little
what
bit, yeah.
makes me think of
Very much so.
that superheroes have to go out of business because they're getting sued for all the damage they cause when they're saving lives.
Which is a funny
I
point.
don't think-
I've never seen it in a real life movie
As
like
far
this.
as the terrorist
It was
thing goes,
interesting.
there's nothing on that level.
Okay.
But they're very violent towards each other
I think-
at a certain point.
Okay, that's really
And Batman
Age
is
of
willing to shoot some
Ultron.
people now.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. Another parent
But
told
the
me that
original
they,
Batman did shoot people.
for
Well,
kids
but
that
he
age, they
didn't
might
kill
not
people,
understand
though.
Yes,
why
he did.
Batman
Original
and
Batman
Superman
killed
are
the
fighting.
I
Well,
think
I'm
I think
completely
it
oblivious.
builds
Oh, no, he was-
up a good
Cold-blooded murderer.
storyline as to why they fight.
The original one was
So
just
from
cold-blooded,
beginning
but he only killed
to up
bad
to
guys.
that point, you really see why they're clashing with each other.
It was
Okay.
interesting, and I'd never seen that in a
Yeah.
superhero movie before.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, because Superman is very much like, you're such a vigilante, and you shouldn't be allowed to do that, and I'm going to stop you. And Batman is like, you're destroying the earth, and somebody
Yeah.
needs to stop you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
So
Okay.
I mean,
Cool.
so this
Yeah.
is going to show my youth, and I apologize, but have any of you seen Dexter's Laboratory?
Yes.
The little cartoon show.
Oh yeah.
So the actual show Dexter that comes along with it.
Oh, yeah.
There's this whole theory that is actually Dexter grown up, and it's
oh
just
wow,
it's
That
just,
is interesting.
Really? I've never heard
That is interesting.
yeah, it's
That's
it's,
awesome.
it's just this this actual full live action series based on what this little kid with absolute will domination would want to have, and that's his epitome of what he would get.
Well, we need to think of an idea
So-
like that. So I'm just saying, put that on the checklist.
Yeah.
All right, well, I want to hear a little bit more about the movie. Just
Yeah. So.
What's your favorite part without giving away a spoiler? I can tell you mine without a doubt.
Oh, go ahead.
I loved it. I loved the appearance of Wonder Woman. She finally was Wonder Woman because I was not expecting it to be Wonder Woman. It
you didn't know
surprised.
she was going to be?
No. I knew she was.
Oh.
The way they introduced her into the movie, you did not think it was going to be Wonder Woman at that moment.
At that
You
moment.
thought it was
Right,
going
right,
to be
right,
somebody
right, right,
different.
Oh no,
and
I
it was
totally got
not.
that, because you see her, like, the minute you see her, she's got a gold necklace on, she's got a gold bangle on, she's got a gold,
No. But the way that they because
like,
Oh,
you
in
just
in the
come-
in that scene.
in that
Oh.
scene, you
Yeah.
didn't know who was going to, because one of the heroes was kind of in a
In-
lot of
in
peril,
peril.
was about
Oh,
to be
yeah, yeah, yeah.
killed,
Yeah.
and then somebody comes out of nowhere and saves the hero, and you think it's going to be one of the other heroes,
Oh,
and it
yeah.
turns out to be
It turns
Wonder
out to be
Woman.
Wonder Woman.
And that I did not expect
Yeah.
at all. And I
Yeah.
thought that was one of the coolest entrances in the movie.
I just don't think, like, we talked about it, and I don't think that they did a good job developing all the characters. Like, they
Yeah.
really didn't do a
because
great.
DC's done, they spent a lot
They
of time
did.
developing characters in some of their shows.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
she was
yeah,
very
well,
good.
I think
Shortcuts.
well, I think the problem with this movie, and I will start by saying I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
But the problem wasn't that they didn't develop, because I think Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman enough to just kind of let it be. Who they didn't develop enough was Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
You really don't understand his motivations of why he's doing all this stuff, because he's doing some horrendous shit.
Yeah.
So you don't
Yeah.
fully understand why he's doing it, but it's visually pretty amazing, and it's pretty. The fight scene with Superman and Batman is just amazing, and it actually, I think we talked about it kind of off podcast once about who would win, who do you really think will win, and it really does show kind of pure heart versus just will and intellect, because you got Batman with sheer will but a ton of intellect versus Superman, who's almost pure just heart. So and who would and could win out in that scenario, and I think most people just assume who would win in that scenario, because
Well, most people go
one
in
of them
with the
is
side of
yeah,
who they
well,
already
yeah.
like.
Right.
So,
Right.
but I actually was not surprised who would have won that fist fight. Actually, but I wasn't at all surprised. I know Chris is looking at me like I am absolutely crazy podcasters, but I was not surprised at who won that fight, purely because I really thought.
Gee, I wonder who won now. I kind of
Yeah,
guess.
well,
Actually, neither one of them really win. It's kind of interesting. I mean,
Yeah, they get to a point where
They're tired?
They're forced to stop.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
Stalemate.
there,
Because
other
bigger
thing,
things-
other
I'm
thing,
just tired.
bigger, more important things are happening. So
Yeah.
once you see the movie, we'll have to come back and talk.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but
Comment
what
on
I do find interesting about that fight is that they created this whole culture online with memes about who would actually win that fight. So there was a whole culture about Superman winning the fight.
Yeah.
There was a whole culture about Batman winning the fight, and then there was even a whole culture about, you know, who would lose the fight. And I love each and every single one of the opinions that each one of them brought. But I think the overall marketing job for the entire film did an amazing job of bringing in, paradigms that the millennials, as much as I hate to use that word, are actually using at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, it's what do you do when, crime has always been, your neighbor, so it's the guy next door doing bad things. When all of a sudden, out of the sky comes somebody who changes the complete paradigm for what crime fighting could look like, what crime could be. Because if you're Batman, you're not 100% sold that he's a good guy. All you know is he could burn the place down if he really just felt like it.
Yeah.
It was really interesting to watch, and
That's
like
what
I
always
said, I
bothered
really
me.
enjoyed it.
It just
That
seems
is what always bothered me about Superman versus Batman. I'm like, if I'm Superman, I'm literally just flying like 300 feet above you, shooting you with lasers and fire breath, and then going back and all the other nonsense powers that I have. I don't care what you can do. Like your little bat boomerang thing isn't going to reach me.
The
It's just
utility
not
belt,
going to
man, it's
happen.
got some
Well,
Superman.
It's just never
Superman
gonna
has
happen.
helmet
but
spray
you know
in the
how he
belt.
got him. If you saw it,
I
you know how
agree,
he
but
got
you
him.
wouldn't be in a fist fight with him. Like you would just be flying way above him and just shooting him with stuff.
I'm going to
That's
guess
all
he
it's
punch a
was
sniper.
wearing some kryptonite.
There was some kryptonite involved. I will say
There
that.
always is kryptonite. Like,
Yeah,
well,
if Superman's
how much
around, there's always
kryptonite literally
kryptonite.
is
Without
on
it, there
Earth?
is no-
Like, I don't get it.
Was it shot in Toronto? Because
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know where it was filmed.
You know what? Actually, I wasn't paying
Let's look
attention
it up.
during
I
the
have
credits.
one important question. Do we get to not see the invisible jet?
Not in this
No, you
movie.
don't.
Not in
But
this
you know they're doing a Wonder Woman movie.
They are.
That's why they.
doing it.
That's
So-
yep. There's been enough
I,
franchise.
I
only
think
say
they did
Toronto
a good
'cause
job just introducing her.
You get to see a lot of good stuff. Detroit.
Detroit.
Ah,
Okay.
okay.
Oh, of
Good
course.
spot.
All right, yeah.
Well,
yeah.
they give you the tax.
You could
credits.
tear it up, nobody would- nobody would know.
Yeah. They got a free
Unfortunately.
demo right there.
Detroit, Chicago, Yorkville, Illinois, East Los Angeles, District of Columbia, and in New Mexico.
I am. Actually,
That's
I
nice,
am.
right? All states with tax credits, which
Well, I
is
figured
kind of interesting.
if they were going to be in Toronto, then the former mayor would have some of that kryptonite.
I don't
He'd
think
be
it.
smoking it.
I don't think it did any good.
Like,
It didn't
how
really
do
do
I
it all.
smoke this?
Yeah.
Alright, so we gotta move forward. We gotta move forward. Next
You
topic.
circling the Photoshop area on the picture here?
Next I have made some copies of a photo I found online, and I passed it out to the gentleman at the table. And and Dave Tiemann is circling parts of the photo. I won't say what parts.
I will.
But I will.
Ask.
But wait, I will say
If I
the
had
photo
that,
is of.
if I had that growth on the back of my body, they'd have surgery on me. It'd be cancer.
I will say the photo is of Beyonce and I don't know who the one girl is, but the girl in the blue is her cousin.
They're all in blue.
And
no, she's in
girl,
black.
is her cousin. They were at a funeral and for an uncle.
That's,
And
Yeah, they look really
yeah,
sad.
and that is
Yeah, another
yes.
death.
yeah, but it struck me that as fine as most people think Beyonce is, I was looking and I'm like, damn, her cousin is a little finer than Beyonce.
Completely disagree.
No, you are so wrong.
I say,
You are so wrong.
hey, I just have to let you know I am the only black guy at the table.
Oh,
And so I have to let you know all these white guys are wrong. I have to say.
Yeah, I think she's
There.
actually got a prettier face. I think she's got prettier.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. Like she's just her.
You're
she's,
not looking at her face.
No, I am. Like in the face, she's pretty.
You start there.
Well, you said finer ass, cousin.
Yeah. I meant to. Okay. Yes,
What was,
I wrote that.
say the name of
Kiss up a
Beyonce's
little
finer
more.
ass cousins. That's
Yeah.
what it says.
Yeah, I'm about to say, and I did not. Although I think it's on the picture.
Kristen.
Yeah, I'm about to say I know, but I remember looking at just at her face. I thought she was
Yeah.
more
Right,
attractive.
yeah, sure you did.
I thought she was more attractive than
Yeah.
Beyonce.
That's why this picture doesn't stop here.
Yeah.
There's no way you can.
Well, I just printed the whole picture. That's the picture that was online, and that's all I'm saying.
No cropping.
And
These
I,
are not headshots.
I wanted to.
These are this is a full body
I love
shot.
it.
I just wanted to get some opinion on what people thought about Beyonce
Beyonce.
and her cousin.
Well, I think, at least for me, and this is going completely not involving her cousins whatsoever, but I think one of the most interesting things about Beyonce is her relationship with Jay-Z and how they've just created this massive empire together. It is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah,
and
they
it's-
were
Yeah, I mean, you take
individually. They
yeah,
were massive.
I mean, you
together,
take
they're
it
together,
just.
they're just an unstoppable beast.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
really incredible.
$500
yeah.
million in net worth. I mean,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
pretty
Anyway,
big.
Dave, back to Kristen's ass.
Yeah, because Dave may say that she's not finer than Beyonce. He was really admiring her
Look, I
cousin's
have a
ass,
basic
though.
belief in life. Men, when you grow up, we all have great butts. But as you get older, we lose our butts. But it's amazing, as women get older, they get bigger butts. So I call that ass transference. I don't believe we ass. we transfer our ass to your ass. Thank you very much.
Yes.
And in
It's a
this
sharing
case,
thing.
she had at least 9 guys transfer to her ass. I'm telling you right now.
That's okay. Not mad at it.
That's
No.
If that's what it is, ass transference.
it looks like a safety bumper on my Porsche.
Speaking of which, Dave did get a is it brand new?
Yeah.
Brand new Porsche Panamera, ladies and gentlemen,
Oh,
that
nice.
we will be hopefully
It's
joyriding
It's my
in.
bucket list car,
Sooner.
guys. I'm going to die,
Right.
bury me in it, will you
Stunning
You can
please?
see it out the window.
So, and last but not
Which
least,
one is it? I can only see Toyota Corollas.
That's the one.
yeah,
That's the one?
That's the-
Front.
yeah,
It's
That's
got
the
a
one.
sticker, yeah.
It's the black one.
It's the black Toyota Corolla. I get it.
there you go.
All right.
Last topic.
I told everybody it's a Porsche Panamera, but hell, they don't know.
There you go. Last
get it.
topic, not least, I did want to mention that I did see this week. I thought was interesting. I saw a picture of they were sitting there talking, but they were sitting there talking in the studio, which I thought was interesting. It was Justin Timberlake and Pharrell Williams, and for those who don't know, as big as Timberlake has gotten and Pharrell has gotten respectively, Pharrell actually produced the majority of Timberlake's first album.
I didn't know.
And they haven't worked
Pharrell,
together
he's a kid.
since the first
They're-
album.
Were they in
he's
Disney
older
Club
than
Yeah, but he looks like a
Timberlake.
kid. I know, but he looks like a kid.
He looks
He
like a
could've been.
kid, but
I mean,
he's older
actually
than
could've been.
Timberlake.
I swear, I'm sure that they met during the Disney Club, which is where Britney Spears and all of them met.
They
as
may
well.
have met there, but they didn't work together.
No, not
until-
Pharrell. He wasn't part of that Disney gang. He actually. The funny thing is, he's been producing records
I didn't know
since
that.
the early '90s. A lot
I
of
thought he was
people
a
don't
kid.
know.
I really did. Pharrell?
He worked for. He actually worked with. You remember the record, The Rump Shaker? Check baby, 1, 2,
yeah.
3,
I did-
4,
I
check.
didn't remember.
Like he produced that record.
I remembered
he's-
after I looked
he's
at
been
this
producing
shot.
record. Now he does. He still looks like he's like 22, which is just unfair. But he's been producing records a long time.
Where's he from?
Virginia. He is from Virginia, and actually.
And that's where Timberland's
On
from.
a, we actually, I was just been saying on a
Dave,
side note.
he's 42.
Pharrell?
Pharrell?
What? Pharrell's
Yeah.
42?
He doesn't look.
Yeah.
He looks.
He-
He looks
He's
26.
gonna have a birthday.
I know.
He's gonna be 43 next week.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. On a side note, Pharrell and Timberland are cousins.
No kidding.
Yeah, because they are also from. He's also from Virginia, and but yeah,
This
they're
isn't a
cousins.
bad thing.
No. So I thought it was interesting that
Oh, maybe a bad
that they might be working together
Why?
again because.
He
Because
makes
it's
ton of
money. No,
Because he
that's
had a
bullshit.
lot of hits on that first album, but they never wound up
Yeah.
working together again because he started working with Timberland because they had such a good chemistry together. But it wasn't like Pharrell and Justin Timberlake didn't have a great chemistry on the first album. So, because really, I think maybe only 2 records on the first album weren't produced by Pharrell. One was Cry Me a River, which was produced by Timberland, but all the Rocky Body and all those records, those are all produced by Pharrell.
Cry Me a River may be one of the worst songs I've ever heard.
Well, you try and produce
That's
one of the
your
worst songs
opinion.
ever and create like a platinum album, mate.
Agree or
We've
disagree that
already
his
heard
wife
You're
is one of
breaking
the
up with Britney
hottest.
Spears and you write a song,
No,
people are gonna buy it no
absolutely.
matter what.
Hey,
We've had a
can
whole
we go
night to the
back real
entire
quick
table
and
disagree
talk
with you
about
on your
what
music.
I know.
So.
My music's
Oh, you know
terrible.
what?
My
We
music
actually
section's
we
terrible.
actually had somebody enter the podcast late, so we want to find out what are you smoking, Patrick?
Hoya de Nicaragua.
Ah,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, JDN. This is the blend. It's got a little bit of it's Dominican on the end, and at the front it's got it's got Connecticut wrapper, but mostly Nicaraguan filler and binder.
good. All right.
Yeah.
And cool
What
looking.
drinking?
Yeah, I actually like that. I love the two-tone wrapper.
Yeah. I've had a few of them that are the two tones are a little bit. It's hard to get the blend just right on them.
Yeah.
Best one I had just the other day was Royal Dutch. It was it's basically a double wrap, so you can
Oh,
see
yeah,
two.
yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
woven like a barber pole.
Yeah.
Outstanding.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Cuban. You can only get them out of obviously Cuba or Europe.
Probably has a GPS chip in it that you.
I can either confirm or deny that it has any GPS tracking.
But I say, and Patrick would know, 'cause once again, he stopped the drone from shooting us all early. So, we're at my favorite part of the podcast, ladies and gentlemen, and that part is called The Shuffle. And here's how the shuffle works if you don't remember. So, everybody at the table who's going to participate is going to go to their phone. They're going to find a playlist, and they're going to hit shuffle on said playlist. And the first thing that pops up, we're going to talk about. Sometimes the person whose playlist that it is knows more about the song than others. Sometimes somebody else at the table knows more, but it's actually always fun. You know, you always learn something. You always get some insight on some new bands that maybe you didn't know anything about. So we're going to start with.
Just over here. Let's see what he's.
Yeah, I was just going to say. I
What do you
think we're
bring
going to
over
start
here?
with our new person to the podcast. We're going to start with Gary, and we're going to see what he has on the shuffle this week.
All right, so my select radio station on Pandora that I always go to is Mike Snow. Are any of you familiar with Mike Snow?
No.
So Mike Snow is this 20-something duo out of some Nordic country. I would be lying if I told you exactly what country they came out of. But it's just this. It's in this new kind of hipster barbecue kind of realm where it's really kind of chilled out, almost a mix between pop and God, what would I call it? Pop and bass music, all kind of coming out of the same kind of realm. And so the first thing that I've got on here is the first song is Sweet Disposition by the Temper Trap, which I absolutely love the song. So I mean, to me, that this radio station really gives a great variety of music, between having something really chill like this to, if I hit the next, you're gonna get MGMT, which is, you know, again more in this kind of poppy realm that's mixed with house and bass and
It's
everything.
a little bit of disco overtones
Kind of
at
pop
times,
dance.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. And this is all really stemming from my love of Prince, which you know, you can never go wrong with a good Prince playlist either. So.
And I am a fan of Prince, and I actually do like I do like that band too. I hadn't heard of
Temper Trap.
Yeah.
Or Mike Snow.
They've been around forever.
I hadn't heard of Mike Snow, but yeah, I'm gonna check
They've
it
been
out.
around since early 2000s, so like they've had a very long run.
2007, Mike Snow.
Tinder Trap's been around since
Oh,
2001.
absolutely.
But yeah, Mike Snow.
Absolutely.
I had actually heard of that
The
song, but
Tinder
I
Trap
didn't
had
know
some hits.
I never did know who made it, but I had heard of that song.
Right, and I think the Temper Trap does an amazing job with that song. The producers did an incredible job. It's very catchy, very poppy,
very good.
very cool. And the thing that I love about it is that it transcends any kind of genre that you are going for. So you can either use it in a very cool, relaxed kind of setting, or you can use it in a party setting. Mm-hmm. Everybody knows the song. It's a very diverse kind of group of music. So cool. I love it.
Dave?
All right, well, I'm going to go back to my old roots in the dance world of the disco scene in the late 70s and 80s, and what I thought was one man,
1980s?
in the 1880s, of course. What I thought this guy did more for, well, I shouldn't say he did more. I think the production company did a lot for
It's got the
the dance world and the dance videos. So here's Jamiroquai.
Love it.
Gotta love
Heat.
Jamiroquai is good.
Gotta love Jamiroquai.
Yeah.
We were all dancing to this at one time, or I was.
Yeah,
anyway.
I love Jamiroquai.
Hey, I'm still dancing to it.
So we're gonna hear this blaring out of the brand new.
I loved his
Pulsar
videos though. His videos were off the hook.
sound. Yeah. Very
And that
visually
big,
appealing.
remember the big hat that he wore?
Sure.
They were good.
Big boots. Yeah. Virtual insanity.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that was most Americans' real introduction to
Experience,
Jamiroquai.
yeah.
But yeah, I love Space Cowboy. And,
Yeah.
they have some great records. What about you, good sir? I am talking to Patrick when I say good sir.
Just pulled what I had right planned on the way here. This is my Pandora channel. It's Tom Veck, but the first one that came up on the list from Tom Veck isn't Tom Veck. It's actually a band called Brad Sucks,
Okay.
and it's not something that's very common or popular. But Brad Sucks, it's got almost like a Beck-like slack beat quality to it, but I call it like kind of smart ass rock. It's just got a real, I don't know, raw, kind of almost rude sometimes, but
I can see what you mean about Beck. This is
it's got a lot of
super
Beck to it.
Beck,
Yeah, but it's got it's a little bit of Beck and Soul Coughing and Mike Doty. There's a mix of some pieces in there like that, maybe some Spoon. Even occasional notes of like Morphine and Phenomena. So yeah, it's just really easy to like. And it's got an occasional kind of make you chuckle kind of smart ass lyric in it. It's even more off color than Beck.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Yeah, Brad Sucks.
All right. Are we participating?
Sure. Mine was a little different than the previous playlist.
And this is Jesse we're talking to.
Coming from the gym earlier, mine was on a hip hop rap Genius playlist, where the first song I had up was Master P, Make 'em Say,
Make 'em say,
If there's a song that kind of gets your body in the mood to do anything, at least wake up and have some coffee. That's it, And for me, independently, Master P was an influence. Just because I think he was the first big independent rap artist.
Yeah. I would definitely say.
You know what I mean?
I would definitely say Gary's got to leave us, so we're gonna say goodbye to Gary.
Bye, Gary.
Hey, Gary.
Sorry guys, goodbye.
All right, podcasters, and we're going to go on to Chris.
Saddest day of my life. My
Oh.
all-time greatest high school band broke up, which I was not a part of, but they're the band who influenced me more than anybody in high school and early college. It's the last song they ever put out, so this is
New Kids on the Block.
REM, We All Go Back to Where We Belong. It's off the last album. Great song.
I like that.
I just love the lyrics. I think they're
The old stuff.
This is actually the last song they ever put out. So this is about as new as it gets.
Yeah.
So yeah. And you were up.
Emma?
Oh, anonymous female.
So mine was on my workout playlist too. TI.
Of course. This is gonna be good.
from the Paper Trail album for T.I. Yeah, that's about to say, I remember just not being able to escape. I like that song and that album, but I just remember not being able to escape that song that summer. Gravy.
Or a year or so.
Yeah, it just stayed on the radio.
It did.
Just stayed on the radio.
I just recently put it on my playlist, actually. So.
Yeah, workout playlist?
Mm-hmm.
It's a good one.
I'm glad to play my workout playlist.
Mine's
like Rage Against the Machine, Excision.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but I say actually.
I was expecting Kesha or something to come up.
Yeah.
On mine?
on my playlist. That was a previous podcast.
Chris has got Kanye West on his workout.
Hey, that's all right.
I have some Kanye West.
That's all right.
When I work out.
That's all right.
Always.
Do you?
Always. I
Yeah.
always work out.
That's interesting. Mine's always very
Yeah,
fast
really,
and
Mine's,
upbeat.
yeah. Mine gets
Yeah.
the adrenaline
Yours is
going.
slow?
I always like it because like my heart rate is so slow and doesn't keep going.
Huh. All right.
And which just leaves your host and my shuffle, and this is actually something I was been working it out too, and this is off of. It's off of the joint Drake Future project, the stupidest and catchiest record on the album. Woo!
The woo was added.
Yeah. Emphasis added by your host. That one wasn't. That was legit.
Whoa! I meant woo.
You know, when I first saw the title Jumpman, I thought it was going to be, I was like, man, is this a song about some shoes?
Well, he just got,
But
Drake
the lyrics are really good. I love the
Drake
lyrics
just got a Jordan deal, and so he's putting out limited editions of he's got 2 or 3 models of Jordans that they're letting him do some custom mods on, and I mean they've got like premium leather, and I think there's some shark skin on one of them.
That's not gonna hurt him at all.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Now, Drake also just launched a whiskey brand, by the way.
Yes, I did. Virginia Black.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see what the bottle looks really cool, and the color of the bourbon looks really it looks really rich. But I've only seen pictures of it.
I would have assumed he would have went with a Canadian whiskey.
You would have thought he went with a Canadian whiskey, but yeah, Virginia Black. I actually saw that last week, and I was like, huh. So I wasn't gonna bring it up yet because you can't get it yet. But
He's not part of the Rieger brand.
Look out for it.
He is not
Look
part
out
of
for
it.
it.
So look out for that. Yeah, and no, I don't think he's part of the Rieger
No,
brand.
it turns out he's not.
So today we talked about quite a bit of stuff. And we delve a little deeper into a few things. We want to say rest in peace to everybody that passed this week. Fife Dog from Charcoal Quest, Rob Ford, former mayor of Toronto, Gary Shandling. We talked about
Other people in Belgium.
we talked about the Brussels attack.
Can I add one more thing on that real quick?
Yeah.
I work in that space, and it's frightening. It's easy to get scared. But if you get terrorized, they win. Go out, spend money, do your thing, do it like you mean it. Don't let them win.
You know what? On that note, I think that's a good place to stop. And while stopping, we're going to end this podcast with the toast that started it all for me. And that toast is to good times with good people.
Yeah.
Oh.